Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you guys how to change the fuel injectors in a 1990 through 93 Mazda Miata 1.6 liter. So the first step in this process is removing the negative terminal from the battery. This will just disconnect all power from the vehicle just to ensure that you don't arc anything or screw anything up with the ECU. Okay, so the next process is going to be removing all of these hoses that are blocking your fuel rail and your injectors along with your injector plugs. You're going to want to remove the two hoses from your idle air control valve, as long as removing the, I like to remove the hose on the fuel pressure regulator. Just be sure to take care when removing this. I don't know that yours will be, but mine was extremely brittle. I went ahead and replaced the hose leading to the PCV valve and the valve cover. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do that. I like to clean this valve. Anytime I take it off, I like to clean it out. I just use brake parts cleaner or carburetor cleaner, preferably carburetor cleaner. So yeah, we'll go ahead and just disconnect all these hoses and remove the idle air. And I also forgot to mention this step. These 4 bolts holding the idle air control valve on are 8 millimeters. I prefer to use this short stubby 8 millimeter socket along with the stubby ratchet wrench or ratchet. One more tip, just make sure that when you remove this valve that the rubber gasket in here is in good shape. If not, go ahead and order a new one. Obviously you don't want any air leaking out or anything like that, so that's a big thing right there. Also clean the surface off whenever you do remove that. Yep, we'll go ahead and move forward. Okay, so once you've got your idle air control valve off and all the hoses around here disconnected, you're going to go ahead and take a 12 millimeter socket and undo the 2 bolts that lead into the intake manifold. Just be careful, because when you do remove those 2 bolts, there's a black spacer in here. Make sure not to lose those. And then go ahead and disconnect your injector plugs, and your fuel rail will become loose. So you'll lift up on it, pull it back, and just replace each injector as you pull it out. Okay, so from right here I like to just hand loosen these, just because of that spacer. I don't want to lose that, or either of them. So I like to take them out both, just nice and easy. Take my time here. Once I know for sure I got them all the way out, I'll stick these to the side. Really, you should have a magnetic tray. That's going to be best, but unfortunately I do not have one. So once you have those removed, the 2 12 millimeter bolts, set those aside. And what I like to do is one side at a time. I like to lift up on it, and I like to remove the black washer, black spacer. And then I like to reach over and grab the other one, set those aside as well. And then now you can see that the fuel rail along with your injectors, they are free. So this is what I like to take and unplug each injector, which, being such an old car, your connectors may be brittle from heat. Surprisingly, mine are like new. So just go ahead and hook each one of these. Okay, and some people may like to take the whole fuel rail out. I don't like to. I don't like to mess with that. It's easy enough for me to leave the fuel rail in and pull each injector one at a time. Fuel is going to leak out. There's just going to be extra fuel left in your fuel rail. So that's completely normal. So I did order a direct replacement. This is the part number. I just ordered them off of Amazon. This is what the box looks like. It's just a direct replacement of what I had already in the vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that. So you're just going to go ahead and remove the cap that comes on the injector. and you're just going to replace each one at a time. Also, one more thing that I like to do while I have access to them and the injectors are out, I like to clean the seats of the injectors. This just ensures that you're going to get a good seal and you're not going to get any gas leak, because you don't want to put this all back together and next thing you know you smell gas. Gas and heat usually don't mix, so yeah. So with all of our injectors removed, I'm going to go ahead and take some carburetor cleaner, spray it in each one of the injector seats, and just kind of clean out the seats like I said. And I mean, you could use a Q-tip or something, but I just don't like leaving the fibers all behind, so I'm just going to use a shop rag and my finger. The injector seat's all cleaned. I'm going to go ahead and replace each injector right now. Okie doke, so with all new injectors in the fuel rail, we're going to go ahead and align them and stick our black spacers back where they belong. Just a little tip if you're having a hard time with putting your injectors in, I like to just add a little twist when I'm sticking the head of the injector into the fuel rail. Some people say that you can grease the O-ring on them. I don't like to do that because I like to keep them dry when they're in there. That's just my opinion. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and just go line each one of these injectors and put them back into the intake and put our spacers in here. It can take a little bit of finagling to get these all lined up correctly. Just takes a little bit of patience. One injector can hold the whole fuel rail up, so. Yeah, I like to twist each one of my injectors to make sure they're seated correctly. And I like to keep pressure on the fuel rail, just ensuring that I keep those black spacers in place. So I'm going to grab my two 12mm bolts. And I'm just going to hand thread them in. First, get them both in place, make sure that my fuel rail is lined up and my bolt holes line up. And I know they do. I can then let go because that's going to hold the retainer in place. So then what I like to do is I like to just spin each one of my injectors facing straight up.
What we do here is go.
And then I like to go ahead and tighten down my fuel rail. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down with the ratchet yet. I'm just going to do hand tight both of these. Okay, so when I know that I'm hand tight, I'm going to go ahead and just give my injectors a good twist back and forth, just ensuring that my each injector is seated correctly within the fuel rail and the intake. So when I know that they are, I will go ahead and take my ratchet and tighten these down. I'm not sure the exact torque spec, but I'll go ahead and put those in the description below. I just tighten them down snug. So, then what you're going to do is I like to connect each injector plug one at a time, moving them to where the plugs line up. I like to keep these off of the second one from the front likes to touch the valve cover as long as the third one from the back, or the third one. So I like to move those in a little bit. So with those connected, we're going to go ahead and put our idle air control valve on and just reconnect all of our hoses. I don't know that it matters, but whenever I'm tightening down the idle air control valve, I like to make sure that I'm doing it in a cross pattern. I don't like to jump from this one to this next top one. I like to jump from the top right to the bottom left, for instance. It just ensures that you're getting a good seal on that gasket, the rubber gasket inside. Okie doke, so with everything hooked back up with your hoses, your two hoses that go to your idle air control valve, your PCV valve, your fuel pressure regulator, and yeah, as far as I know, that is all the hoses that I had to disconnect on mine. I don't think that there's any other hoses on any other models, but I could be wrong. So really all you're going to need for this whole process is an 8mm stubby socket for your idler control valve, and a 12mm wrench for your tube bolts on the fuel rail. And the set of pliers comes in nice for removing these clips off of the hoses. Some people might have the screwdriver clips, but I just have those, so that's that. Okay, so now that everything's put back together, we're going to go ahead and connect the negative battery terminal and go ahead and try to give her a start, make sure that everything's good. And yeah, go ahead and comment down below if you guys have any questions or have any problems. And go ahead and comment what you'd like to see next on a Mazda Miata or any other vehicle like that.